Now, here's another objection that might be made to your book, that lots of these treatments are based on plants, which are natural. Modern medicine takes extracts of plants, but basically this is going back to nature's way of curing us.
Well, a lot of, as you say, a lot of modern medicines are derived from plants or are similar, chemically speaking, to plants. So plants are great. They are a wonderful source. The good thing about modern pharmaceuticals is that they can deliver the elements that are in plants far more efficiently and more safely. I heard something recently, I'm not actually sure what the figures would be here, but if you take, for an example, digitalis, which comes from the foxglove, you can administer it in the form of foxglove leaves, and it is that substance, but you have no way of knowing how much is in the particular leaves, depending on how they were grown. You can't standardise the dose. And a very small overdose of digitalis can cause really, really dramatic consequences, bad consequences. And so it's far riskier to give it in that form than it would be to give the same drug in a controlled, refined tablet form.
When we see these practitioners on the high street, chiropractor and homeopath and so on, they have the aura of being established practices. And one of the interesting things in your book for me was you look at the history of where they came from. And there are many fascinating stories about the origins of these practices. And chiropractic stood out as a particularly interesting tale about how something originated and became established.
Yes, well, it's a very good example, and it's one that I found people are quite amazed by, because they feel they're being sold this thing that sounds like it's very ancient, just the word chiropractic, which is derived from Greek and all of that, when they discover that in fact it was invented by a magnetic healer spiritualist who thought he was inventing a religion in the 1880s in America. It does change things slightly. The story it's a real Wild West story of somebody who was a very successful magnetic healer, but I think must have decided he could do something more that would be more successful, and came up with this idea of chiropractic when he received it as an idea and the means of, or the method of doing it in a séance. And he thought he was in touch with a dead physician that he'd known in the past who told him this method, and then claimed to cure somebody of deafness one week and somebody else of a heart problem the following week using this method of manipulating the spine. He thought that all illnesses were caused by the interruption of energies from your spine to the various organs and parts of the body, and that if you could get the spine in an ordered fashion, you wouldn't have any illness at all. And he was very successful with patients. He was imprisoned several times for impersonating a doctor, or practicing medicine without a license. At one point when he was in prison, his son took over the business and made it a huge success, mainly because he realised that the money wasn't in the practice itself, but training other chiropractors. And that's something that I've noticed comes up again and again in alternative medicine, that it's the training where the big bucks are. And so institutions get set up to spread all these ideas, but really only for the benefit of the people who are doing the teaching, not anybody else.
It seems to me that irrationality has quite a long history and rationality has quite a short history, if one thinks about the whole duration of the human race. I mean, what way do you think the tide is running at the moment?
Well, I think it would be nice to take credit for some change in all of this. I would imagine the credit crunch has got a lot going for it, because I think when you are faced with the possibility of spending 40, 50 quid on an alternative consultation, you might think twice now. I think for a lot of people, just raising the questions that I've raised and that other people have raised has made them think twice about it. It's been offered in the past so uncritically, as if it's something, it works for me, have it, it's marvellous, and it never does any harm, so it doesn't matter if you use it and it doesn't work. I think people are aware now it's not as simple as that. As I said, some of the universities are now questioning their provision of the courses, and in fact even stopping some of the courses. And I think that has to be a good thing.
One of the reviews mentioned the worry that the people who ought to read this book probably won't. I mean, how do you get beyond that problem?
It's quite difficult to get beyond it, particularly when a book is called Suckers, because it's not terribly inviting to think that somebody's calling you a sucker. And what I meant by the sucker name was the title was that I was talking about two kinds of suckers, the ones who are gullible and fall for it, and the ones who are exploitative and make the most of that gullibility. I hope that what I've done is just put into the world of discussion and what people might say with their friends in the playground or at a dinner party or whatever it is, that it's the fact that it's possible to question it, and the amount of information I put in that actually supports the scepticism and shows some of these methods to be duplicitous or not based on fact. I just that that information is there, I naively think makes a difference.